If you love redfish flies, then today's the day. I'm tying a fly made for big bull redfish.
Right before the gap. Tail just came out again. Beautiful, that's on the side of it.
If you just watched our Louisiana redfish show, then you saw me catch that big redfish with this fly. He's going on the boat. Yeah, look at the size of that pig. That is a beast.
23 pounds, swamp donkey.
Hey everybody, welcome to Familiar Waters and FWFishing.com. I'm Mike Pulaski. Today, it's redfish flies. I'm going to show you a fly that I call the Polish Redhound. It came as an offshoot off of my Polish Poonhound. I will put a link down below that you can check out on the Polish Poonhound as well. But let's get to it. It's a fantastic fly. I caught that big bull redfish on that Louisiana show with this exact fly. So I'm tying this on the 600 SP Tiemco. Love this hook. Big wide gap. You can see this is number 1. I can go up in size when I fish for tarpon, but with my Polish Redhound, I like to downsize a little bit, but I love that wide gap. And I love this hook. It's been really good for me. So 600 SP is good. Add some weight, but it's not so heavy that it drives down to the bottom. I'm going to start by adding little cream marabou off the back. Not a bunch, because we're going to tie this cockroach style. And so it's going to have hackle feathers for the body as well. But I want this to breathe in the middle, give it a little action if it's just sitting there. So I will strip that marabou. Wet it. And I want to get it just longer than the hook shank, so about there. One wrap over, one wrap behind, and lock it down in front. And then I want to make one wrap with this marabou. And you'll see why in a second when I tie in the hackle feathers. But I want to create a little bump there at the back end that I'm going to work with. I'll take 4 strands of crystal flash. Loop them around the top, split them, and run them down each side of the marabou. And then I'm going to stack this marabou a little bit by tying underneath it. I want it, any soft material coming out the back can tend to get caught up in the hook. So I'm going to create a little post. I want it coming off at that up angle. I'll trim that crystal flash just longer than the marabou. So you have a little flash coming out of the back of your bug. Next, I created that bump because I'm going to tie this cockroach style with those hackles flared. And so I want the hackle to be just longer as the body than the marabou, but the same length as that crystal flash. I will trap that against the side of the hook and wrap back to that bump that I created with the marabou. Get them in position, wrap them down, one wrap behind, and another wrap to lock it in. So there you go, and they're nice and flared. Do the same thing on the far side. Next, I'm going to Palmer one red hackle and one black. In this case, I've got red grizzly, but I'm going to wrap that to give me a little color here, build up a little bit of bulk. And I like a little bit of that webby stuff on that black hackle. So you get that nice profile, good flare on those hackles. Now I want to add eyes. So I'm going to use pseudo eyes. You can go small or medium depending on how fast you want this to sink. Because it's a redfish fly, I want a fly that will sink. With tarpon flies, I will tie this without the lead eyes. When I do the Poonhound, I want this thing to hover more. With the redfish fly, I want to be able to impart that jigging action as well. Nice and sound. Hit this with just a touch of super glue. Next, I'm going to add a little flash, just a touch, at the collar, with a little polar flash. Since I'm going with earth tones, I'm going to go tan here. And then, this is where this bug gets its name from originally. The Poonhound, I had used black Labrador because I had a phenomenal Labrador hunting dog named BJ. And so I incorporated some of her fur into my pattern. And since I was fishing for tarpon, I called it the Poonhound. Since then, I have found that Arctic fox does a phenomenal job of giving you that lifelike breathability. I want to get these tips all pretty close to matching here. Get just a little bit of that under fur out of there. I want to get a nice bushy section like this because this is going to breathe up around the collar. And so I want to set it back just a bit longer than the hackle. And you can get the guard hairs out. You can leave the guard hairs in. I think it looks sexy if you leave those guard hairs in. So, and I'm going to let this spread down and around that hackle here. And spread it down and around with my thumb. So just adding a little bit of bulk, a little bit of movement up around the head as a collar. Go ahead and pull it and spread it. Lock it in. Trim it out. I'm going to flip it and give about half of what I gave on the top underneath. Just want to cover the tie in there beneath the eyes. I originally tied this front after tying in the Labrador, now Arctic fox, with deer hair. But I found that using wool like sculpin wool, or in this case I'm going to use yak, actually lands a lot softer. And so I like it much better tying it in with either sculpin wool or yak. In this case, I'm going to use that gray to match what I've got on there. And this is going to be the head. So, final piece here. I want to leave all that nice under fur in there because I want this head to be full to push some water. But I'm going to trim it back. So on top, split it. I find when I split it like this, it gives me a more full looking head. I want to keep that separate from that fox. So that's the top. And you can switch out the colors underneath if you would like on this. You can go with a lighter color to give that kind of chin, that belly look, if you'd like. I'm going to stay with one color up top for simplicity's sake. I'm going to pull out a lot of the long guard hairs here, because now I just want to build a little bit of bulk in the head and cover up the rest of those wraps underneath. Now we're going to go with one more at the head here, and we'll be done. So again, I want to leave in a lot of this under fur, strip out a lot of the long stuff now, because all we're doing at this point is building bulk with that head. And all we have to do is trim that head. So I'm going to start on the bottom here. Keep all the yak separate from that Arctic fox fur that we trimmed in to start. And this is a pretty clean, straight across cut. So slight taper. And we'll come back and trim that up in a second. Finally, I'll throw a little super glue on her to lock in that head, lock in that final tie. So that's it, the Polish Redhound, an offshoot of the Polish Poonhound, which is my tarpon fly that originally came from my black Labrador, BJ. If you're looking for new redfish flies, you're going out hunting big bull redfish, this is a great fly for you. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. You can always go to fwfishing.com. More redfish flies like this, plus tons of other stuff across all kinds of species. fwfishing.com. We got videos, we've got articles, we got everything there. Appreciate you watching. Wanted to help you out. If you're looking for redfish flies, This one got it done when I was fly fishing for big bull redfish down in Louisiana. I'm Mike Pulaski, and I'll catch you on the next piece of Familiar Waters.